A few awkward introductions. Monday, December 12, 1983. Welcome to the arcade corner here at Big Jim's convenience store. Big Jim's is just down the street from Whitehall Junior High School, my current place of public education. I'm in my 4th month of 8th grade and I weigh in at a full 14 years of age. I'll be 15 on March 9th, just a few brief years from now. Since it's December at the moment, that means I'll have to continue being 14 for another 3 months or so. That shouldn't be too hard to do. What you are witnessing here is my afternoon routine as it has played out since September of 1981. After sloshing my way through 6th period class, the last class of the day, I float my happy self over here to Big Jim's for a couple of quick games of Defender or Star Wars the arcade game. Then I rush back to campus and wait for my bus to arrive and take me home. It's not nearly as complicated as it sounds. I am relatively good at playing Star Wars ever since Big Jim's got it a few months ago, but no one here can play Defender worth a lick. We all try it because it's a fantastically cool game, but there are just too many control buttons to manipulate and too many enemies firing at you at once to survive for any length of time. Take a look at this stupid control board and tell me how easy you think it could possibly be. Yeah, I thought so too. And look at all these enemies you have to contend with. Landers, mutants, swarmers, bitters. It's a cruel and dangerous array of characters, and every one of them will go out of their way to turn you into a cloud of artificial smoke. All at the same time. I need to correct my earlier statement somewhat. There is at least one person here I know of who can survive the onslaught of Defender and somehow battle on to even higher levels of difficulty. I'm standing behind him right now. His name is Danny Patton. Danny Patton is a stocky blonde guy who, I'm fairly certain, has participated in more than his share of impromptu fist fights over the years. He wears a baseball cap during most of his waking hours and is afflicted with an intense skull and cigarette habit. He is also armed with a remarkably cool arsenal of foul words and phrases that you don't want turned in your direction. In addition to those glowing attributes, Danny is able to play Defender at levels above and beyond what any of the rest of us poor saps could ever hope to reach. On normal school day afternoons we gather around, and watch in awe as his hands dance across the complicated layout of control buttons like a couple of hyperactive spiders hopping across the surface of a hot tin plate. He's an absolute natural at it, so very unlike the rest of us. You may have noticed that there is an ungainly assembly of people gathered here with me. I know them all quite well. These are the people who, like myself, ride afternoon buses that run late enough to allow them to waste time and money in front of these accursed games. That's Aaron English over there beside the Star Wars game. He's got his back turned to us at the moment, staring sideways at the screen as it's being played. The screen is mirrored in his glasses. He may eventually glance over in our direction, but I don't really want to wait around to find out if he ever does. I'll have to intervene and get his attention somehow. Aaron. Hey, Nimrod. Aaron. Over here. Ah, see, there he is. He looked up. He's wondering what I just yelled at him for. He's a little bit shorter than I am. He wears glasses and has a deep voice. you'll notice that he's fighting a tragically losing battle with a skin problem. He's still staring at me with this questioning look on his face, wondering what it is that I want. He has a white guy's afro, which is probably a perm. He looks kind of like Weird Al Yankovic. Just a little bit. He's in junior high band, and is thus a member of that whole band crowd subculture that puzzles my natural social instincts so much. I may be in choir myself, but I've still never been able to understand the band folks. They're just different somehow. I finally have to gesture for him to never mind and go on about his business. After a few awkward seconds, he slowly and suspiciously turns back to watching the game. That was a lot more trouble than it needed to be. Aaron is a natural comedian and does pretty good impersonations of Fat Albert, Kermit the Frog, Cheech and Chong, and various nameless British guys. Together we're a pretty good comedy team with a lot of easy improvisational chemistry between us. We specialize in rough and dangerous pratfalls that will probably end up resulting in someone's death and/or serious injury someday. But it will be funny, whatever happens. Aaron is in my second period English class. I started talking to him a month or so ago when Mrs. Finley had me formulate a sentence and then write it out on the chalkboard, underlining the verbs after I was done. I ended up writing something about Frodo Baggins from The Lord of the Rings. Aaron, being a big fan of the whole sword and fantasy genre, latched onto me from that moment. As a random aside, Aaron also told me how nasty a Vegemite sandwich is, something mentioned in that Men at Work song, Down Under. Okay, I guess that was more irrelevant than I thought. Moving on. The guy standing over there chewing gum like a thirsty camel is none other than Richard Smith. Yeah, that's him. He rides my bus and he's a long-time associate of Aaron's from band class. Richard is a bit on the round side. A bit on the nerd side. A bit on the bland side. He's a good guy, but it sounds like he has some sort of a sinus obstruction whenever he talks. And he talks a whole heck of a lot. He actually reminds me of a tragically unfunny version of Fozzie Bear. I met him about a month ago when I talked to him on the bus concerning the temporary trading of some Atari 2600 games. I walked to his house the next day, which happened to be Thanksgiving, and borrowed the video game version of MASH and some sort of airport landing simulation called Final Approach. I think I still have both them, as a matter of fact. I need to remember to get those back to him before Christmas break. The most important thing you need to understand about Richard is that Richard is Richard, and that's pretty much all that he can ever hope to be. He knows that I'm talking about him. He's looking this way. Yeah, go ahead and wave at him. He'll always wave back. Told you. Wow. Check him out. He'll stop waving as soon as you stop looking at him. At least that's how it usually works. Let's stop looking at him now together. Last in the crowd here is David Benson. He is the exact clone of that young chicken genius that wore the big glasses and never talked in that classic Foghorn Leghorn cartoon. You know, the one where Foghorn said,
"Hey boy, take that ball out of your mouth. Haven't you ever seen a baseball before? Haven't you ever played baseball?" There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Yeah, that's the one. To set the record straight, Benson is not a chicken. Not in the literal, biological sense at least. He's not a genius, and he's certainly not quiet. He's small. He's short. He's loud. He's annoying. He's obnoxious. But he's harmless. He's a gnat. A small, short, Loud, annoying, obnoxious, harmless gnat. I'm sure you'll be hearing from him before too long. Don't say I didn't warn you. Seriously, you're gonna hate it when it happens. My best friend is Terry Childers. He's in 9th grade, and since he rides an early bus he misses out on all these meaningless afternoon festivities. That means he ain't here right now. But he would be if he was. He's a tall guy with a bit of Cherokee Indian in his heritage. He has a slim but solid sort of build. He could also beat the ever-loving tar out of somebody if the situation warranted. At least he says so. I've known Terry since the 4th grade. He moved across the street from me with his sister and nephew about 3 years ago. He's moved at least 4 times since then, and rumor has it that he may be moving again sometime in the near future. If I didn't know any better, I would think that he was secretly trying to break some kind of obscure world record. A month or so ago, Terry and I both started competing for the attention of a certain brash, flirtatious redhead whose name I will conveniently fail to mention. It took me a good 7 or 8 minutes to realize that neither of us were ever destined to win her over. Nevertheless, we kept playing the game because any female attention we could get was a whole lot better than no female attention at all. She still comes around to bother us from time to time, but I certainly carry no misconceptions that she will ever be anything more than an attractive pest. Well, enough of this. It's getting late. I have a bus to catch and I'm fresh out of quarters. I have exactly 16 cents left in my pocket, and there's not much I can do with that. Besides, if I have to listen to any more of David's yammering, I'm going to end up tripping him against the wall. Hand me my books over there, would you? No, those are Benson's. On the other side. No. Over there. The other side. Never mind. I'll get them myself.